Hi, y'all. Thank you so much for having me. I said freestyle because I, in 17 years, have yet to write a keynote speech ever. So I don't often prep what I'm going to say before I get on stage because I am a big fan of staying as present as possible. So it's been a it's been a really interesting year. I have just gotten here from Sydney, Australia. I live in Australia full time with my wife, 6 kids and 2 dogs. And yep, there's six children. That is one half of a dozen. That is six. So six is more than two. And I inherited all of them. But my wife is very hot because people say, wow, well, six. And I'm like, yes, look at her. And they're like, yes, that makes sense. That tracks. So she's sitting over there. Hi, babe. Everybody wave. Yeah, absolutely. Clap that up. She's great. Anyhow, so we got here, I believe, 2 days ago, 2 or 3 days ago. I'm super jet lagged, so I have no idea what day or time it is. But it is only my second trip back to the United States. I left the first time in 2016 after the presidential, the handover of that time. And I'm an emotional individual, so I left immediately and moved to Australia, also with no plan. I came back in 2018. My mom was diagnosed with end-stage Alzheimer's, and I ended up relocating back from Australia to Denver, Colorado, where I met our previous speaker, Liz Wilson, who has become a very good friend of mine, and I'm now working together with her, which was what brought me back to the United States initially. We've just come in from Texas, where we spent some time working at a conference that focuses on rehabilitative medicine. I say all of that to say that in all of the years of being a keynote speaker, I'm always very surprised at just how much the moment reveals itself to me. So earlier this afternoon, Aiden, a young man, suffered a seizure. And I am a 17-year survivor of multiple sclerosis. I suffer often from seizures. And when I was first diagnosed, I lost my ability to walk, handwrite, speak, most of the sensation in my hands, and at times still have trouble speaking, tying my shoes. Sometimes I still can't walk. I treat each and every single day as a complete miracle because there's nothing quite like being interrupted by the thing that you just assume you'll always be able to do. Sam and I became friends during what I lovingly refer to as America's Summer of Allyship in 2020, aka the pandemic, or the time when people were baking bread and had a lot of signage around marching to various places, doing various things, and then purchasing a lot of things on Amazon. Sam and I became connected, and he sent me a drawing, and it was a drawing just about the importance of equity. And it was two hands just held together in a clasp. He messaged me after I had done a live chat. He asked me for my address. I sent it. He sent me the drawing. And I've taken that drawing with me from my home in Glendora, California, on to Atlanta, Georgia. And now it's with me in Sydney, Australia. I never forgot that he took the time to sketch out what he believed I was trying to convey during a really tumultuous time in the U.S. He sent that through to me. We've kept in touch here and there, both very busy. But I sent him a message a couple of weeks ago, and I said, I'm just thinking about you, and I sent him a photo of that drawing framed in my office. He messaged me back, and he asked me how I was doing, and he said, hey, I'm doing this thing on this date, just throwing it out there to see if you could come. And it was quite literally in the 6 days that I'll be here today. And I DM'd him back right away, and I said, yep, I'll be there. And he said, really? I said, yes, absolutely. I should say, just so I can be clear, because every other speaker here does a lot of athletics. There's the climbing, which is fantastic. I was really excited to let you all know I do not climb. I'm terrified of being outside. I told Sam, don't tell these people that I'm going to join in because I think that's too far, And I'm open to trying things, but, walking for me is still a big deal. So I'm here for that. But what you all do is incredible. When he told me a little bit more about Memphis Rocks, I was really blown away because I have lived my entire life in the United States as a Black an African-American, now disabled, gay woman. I couldn't think of a bigger way to be invisible. I couldn't think of a bigger way to just have a seat than all of the representations and the identities that I represent. So the concept that there are groups of people that have time to do recreation, which in the last 10 years for me, I didn't need to seek adventure because adventure for me was not getting shot. Adventure for me was not burying more of my students. Adventure for me was going to get a haircut and making it home and not having a double-barrel shotgun pointed at me while I was driving my car. And all of that happened. When I met Sam, I was living in Los Angeles County, and at the height of tension, a Ku Klux Klan sect that had since been dormant emerged in a neighborhood that I was raised in. Over the course of 5 months, I was no longer getting mail. I had nails in my driveway. Shortly after the murder of Breonna Taylor, I had a full SWAT team bust through my front door because one of my neighbors said I had started a fire. And then one morning I woke up and my entire fence had been taken down. I got in my truck that day and I drove to Atlanta. And I didn't go back to California for an entire year. And when I tell people that story, their reaction is, wow, I can't believe that happened. Oh, I had no idea that was still going on. Well, you wouldn't. You wouldn't because it's not anything that people really want to talk about, but it's still happening. When I saw what Memphis Rocks is doing, teaching disenfranchised and marginalized communities how to scale physical walls that they can see, I thought, how beautiful is that? To actually give you a skill set and a chance to learn a tactic to hang on and not be hung. How gorgeous is that? That there is a community of people that look nothing like me that can all rally to help aid and make sure he gets the care that he needs. How beautiful is that, that this is the country still that I was raised to believe could be good. I couldn't have planned for that to have happened today. I couldn't have planned that that would be the occurrence this afternoon. But what it did remind me was that even though I'm still very fearful of being home, there is still communities just like this, where there are people that purpose to get together to do things they've never done before, where there are people that rally to see a young man make sure that he has the care that he needs. And I watched several first responders treat him with the kindness and compassion that he deserves. That's not the story that we're always telling. That's a story that I too forget at times. And I want to congratulate and say thank you to each and every single one of you as a person that is differently abled, as a person that suffers from a neurological disorder, just for being kind and responsive, for just being attentive, for being protective. Because that moment that we get to bear witness to this kind of humanity is the moment that the country actually has a chance to survive, that it actually has a chance to write a different story. Sam and I have never physically met before today, and I think we've had 2 conversations on the phone. But what I said to him when he picked us up this afternoon was that I really do love living my life in full present form. I love allowing whatever the plan is to reveal itself to me, and I purpose to not get in the way of it. The day that I lost my ability to walk, I was living in Hollywood, I was an actress, I was singing, I was running around, I was living the dream, and I just lost my legs. And it took us 6 months to get a diagnosis. Because in the Black community, health equity is a problem. A few people here today told me that there are quite a few young Black climbers here that suffer from seizures. And I said to them, we got to make sure that they know what those signs are. We have to make sure that as a community, we come together to make sure that there's access and agency for healthcare. Because while I love and appreciate the art of being able to go and explore and do things, there are some of us that are just fighting just to be able to do. And it's really important that that story, as well as the story of scaling mountains, those two things can both be true. But it is important that we recognize how many barriers there are, that we recognize how different things look for different communities. And I think Memphis Rocks is a gorgeous allegory, a gorgeous representation of what can happen when you push the boundaries. So I just want to say that I felt pretty nervous being in Texas. I felt even more nervous coming to Tennessee today. And I feel really grateful because even now as I look out in the audience, knowing what the auspice and the guise is for what Memphis Rocks represents, there's still a minority here. But you know what I feel and what I felt the moment we turned the corner into this beautiful space? I did feel safe. I haven't felt safe in the United States in a very long time. And I want to say thank you for that safe passage. It's something that I severely miss. I severely miss being able to be at home. I severely miss being able to be here and just feel comfortable. Sometimes I feel so sad that I had to move all the way across the world so I didn't have to look over my shoulder. But your faces, your presence, your compassion, your kindness has been a staunch reminder to me that there is still so much good. So as you continue to move through your lives, scale these gorgeous mountains, teach these young people who want to know how to do better and be more for themselves, just know you've also impacted me today. You've also adjusted my perspective. You've also given me a new story to write. And that is something to be celebrated, and that is something to continue to explore. I won't keep you any longer. Thank you for giving me some time. Y'all take care of yourselves.